will continue to reflect the 75th anniversary throughout the day here on Sky News. Joining me now, founder of the all-party parliamentary group for Race, Lamaya Sharray, and Labour MP for Brent Central, Dawn Butler. Ladies, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming in to talk to us here on Sky News. About a day of celebration, but also a day for reflection and action. Lamaya, you've written to the Home Office today because you want greater action to rectify ongoing harm. Talk to me about what your letter says and what you want from the government.
I mean, the campaign is twofold. Essentially, we wanted to create a strong call to action to push the UK Home Office to do more to basically give and compensate victims of the Windrush scandal and to basically give them the support and the justice that they deserve. In addition to that, we wanted to show that this isn't an issue that you can just brush under the carpet, and it's not an issue that's attached to one particular age group either, and that's why I wanted to kind of build a coalition of supporters. We have co-signatories like Leanne Pinnock, for example, from her to co-signatories like Levi Roots, and it kind of shows that the issue is cross-cutting. We have up-and-coming rappers like George who support the campaign as well. So we just want to highlight that this is an issue that affects all of us. It's close to our heart, and the Home Office should be doing significantly more to ensure that victims receive the justice that they deserve.
Dawn, it's worth reminding people just how bad the Windrush scandal was. We were talking about people who came to this country, built a life, and then overnight were told they couldn't go to work because they weren't British anymore.
Absolutely, and they came as British subjects. Like, my mum came on a British passport. You know, her passport says British. Yeah. And they came expecting a warm welcome. And the thing is that we have people who are now stateless, who have no status at all, and the government's still dragging their feet. I mean, it's outrageous. But yesterday, or this week, I couldn't look Suella Braverman in the face. I mean, she literally is dead behind the eyes, and there's just nothing there. And this system needs to be taken out of the Home Office and given to an independent organisation, because you need somebody who cares and who's got compassion. I mean, you've got like 74% of people, cases haven't been heard, they've not been compensated. And I tell you,
and what's life like for them? They're living in limbo.
Oh, they're living in limbo and struggling, and the cost of living crisis. You know, some of them are going hungry, spending their lives in food banks. And I tell you what I think the government strategy is, because the government strategy obviously isn't to help people, otherwise they would. I think the government strategy is to wait for people to die. I think they want people to die. You're talking about pensioners in their 70s and 80s waiting to be compensated for the life that was taken away from them, and this government's dragging their feet.
Waiting for people to die, I mean, that's quite something to say. Lamaya, you're determined for that not to happen. Obviously, you're a descendant of that generation, and to you it is really important because, you know, this is your heritage, this is your family. And on a day like today, when it should be about celebration, how are you feeling? It must be really mixed.
It's a bizarre feeling. I mean, I was on the phone to my grandma this morning on my way here, and she was telling me about how her parents came during that generation from St Kitts. My great-grandma worked as a school cook and then a teacher, and my great-granddad worked as a train driver. And she was speaking about kind of their experiences here, and it is sad because you want to just focus on celebrating that generation and the contribution that they've made to society. But then I know that there are Black Britons that are there today that are still suffering. Like, there is still ongoing harm. Absolutely. Even to this day, people are severely in debt. Many are in temporary accommodation or facing eviction. Many have unpaid bills as a result of being forced out of the labour force for such extended periods of time. And we're looking at compensation claims that are literally in the system for 18 months and over. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it kind of touches on what you were just saying about why is it taking so long? What is the UK Home Office's aim? Is the aim to bring about justice, or is it to kind of brush things under the carpet? And that's why we've created this campaign to hopefully inspire this change to happen today.
I see what I think is really great and important about the work that Maya's doing is that it's the next generation. So whereas, you know, those people in their 80s, where they feel embarrassed that, you know, all of a sudden they're told to go back to Jamaica, some people that have never been to Jamaica before, you know, they felt alone. But now it's like lots of different generations all working together, and I think that's important.
And Lamaya, in terms of, you know, what it says about this country and its relationship with migration, immigration, I mean, this is something that comes up time and time again, whether it be, you know, migrants from the Caribbean, from Africa, from the EU, there seems to be this uncomfortable discussion every time about you invite people in because you need them, essentially. And then what happens further down the road is there is an uncomfortable relationship with all the topics that we know too well. I don't want to go into them, you know, they're well versed. What do you think it says about this country and its wider relationship with immigration?
I think, if I'm completely honest, it's exploitative, and that's what we have to say. And we have to just be honest about what the relationship is, and also if you think about Britain's history and historic relationship with the Caribbean, and then how the UK Home Office is treating Black Britons today. Are we disposable? And I want to have children one day, and it worries me to think that my children will face the same kind of issues that I faced or that my grandparents have faced. And it's kind of this ongoing cyclical effect of exploitation and race inequity. And I think it really just needs to be addressed. And I think the UK Home Office needs to be pushed to do significantly more to ensure that this cycle doesn't continue to happen for the next generation, and the generations thereafter.
We're coming to the end of our time in the interview, but what is the one thing you want our viewers to take away from this 75th anniversary? You know, overall, a time for celebration. We've been talking about, you know, how the Windrush generation contributed so much to British culture. In many ways, they're woven into the fabric of British life. What do you want people to think about today?
I want respect. I want respect for a generation that came here and gave the best years of their life, only to be told by the Home Office, your surplus to requirement, go away. I want respect for them. I want an easier system, and I want them to have their status.
Dawn, Butler and Lamaya Sheree, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us about this, the 75th anniversary of Windrush.